Hello, my name is Tomas and welcome to B&Q Little Values You Can Do With video on basic plumbing and changing a tap. We hope this DVD and other DVDs in the series will help to make DIY a much more enjoyable and easy experience for you. So what we're going to go through first is the different types of pipe that you can come across in your plumbing at home. So the first one is your copper pipe, which most people will be familiar with. And next is our quadplex. So it's just a plastic pipe which is replacing the copper in most new builds. The reason it's replacing it is flexible, so you don't necessarily have to bend with a machine like the copper. It's cheaper than copper, and it's also a little bit more resistant to rusting when it freezes. Now, the first thing I'm going to show you is how to cut the pipe. So with these copper pipes, you have a couple of options. You can use a junior hacksaw, but it can be hard to get a nice straight cut on it. And you also have to be careful with the burrs that are left on the end. But the easiest way to cut it is to use a pipe slice. So on this is a directional arrow. Eventually cut its way through. So nice, quick and easy, and you're left with a nice clean end on it. Now before you put that into any fitting, you should always give it a... So that's very easy. So next up is how to cut the quadplex. You can use one of these pipe shears. You just put it right down on the angle part of the system. So you just keep letting it loose as it cuts into the pipe. And again, gives you a nice clean cut. Again, you can give this a rub down with a cloth to make sure there's no dirt or grit on it before you put it into a fitting. Put them into the different types of fitting. So, this guy here, you have your compression ring or olive, and you have your nut. So the way this guy works is by compressing this ring around your pipe and creating a watertight seal between it, your fitting, and your nut. Now, in order to aid the seal, you have two options. You can either use PTFE tape, which you wrap around the olive once you have it set, or you can put some jointing compound into the fitting before you put it together. Joint compound never sets fully, and it aids you removing the fitting afterwards. So you just get a little bit on your finger and put it into the fitting. Make sure you spread it evenly around. Have a nice straight cut on the end of this so it can go the whole way in. Now, you make sure that this nut here is on finger tight. Next, you will need two adjustable spanners. One to hold the fitting itself, because obviously as you're turning this with a spanner, you don't want to put pressure on the pipes either side. Now, as a general rule of thumb, once you have this finger tight, you want to turn it roughly one full revolution in order to set the olive. That's a half. Okay, so we're just showing you how to put together with jointing compound. If you're using PTFE tape, once you have your olive set in it, so essentially what I just showed you without putting your joint compound into it, you open it back up and you can see your olive is set on it here. So then what you do is you get your PTFE tape. And again, same idea as the jointing compound, acts as a barrier between the parts so it's easier to take apart afterwards. It also helps fill up any gaps, prevent any leaks. So you just put it onto your olive and you wrap around it roughly about 5 times. The best way to cut this off, rather than just pulling it and then it turns into string, which is impossible to work with, just get your fingers either side and shear it off. Then you're left with a nice straight edge at the end. So now once you have that, pop back into your fitting, tighten your nut back up, and again using 2 spanners, you can tighten it up about a quarter of a turn. Remember, your olive is already set on it, so you don't need to compress it completely again. It only needs about a quarter of a turn, and that's it set. Okay, so putting a compression fitting together with Qualpex is very similar. The only thing you have to worry about is inserting one of these guys. This one here is a 1/2 inch insert, and that's for our 1/2 inch pipe. The reason we use this in the Qualpex is because the Qualpex is flexible. If there was any sideways pressure put on this when it's in a fitting, it could easily pop out. So the insert just keeps the end nice and rigid. So you do the exact same thing as you would with your copper pipe. You get either your PT.1 tape or your joint compound. Again, with joint compound, you just put it in your fitting, set the pipe in the whole way, make sure this is finger tight, and then tighten it up 1 full revolution. That is the only difference in it. Now, another really handy DIY product is our push fit fittings. They're just an alternative to the compression fittings. Again, this one here is a T, but you can get them in a whole different range of shapes and sizes. So again, when you're putting anything into this, you want to make sure they have a nice straight end on them. Very important to make sure your copper is nice and clean and doesn't have any burrs on the end, because the way this guy works is by sealing against the pipe with a little rubber O-ring inside. And obviously if there's any burrs on your copper pipe, it could possibly rip it and cause a leak. So in order to put these fittings together, just get your pipe, shove it in, and that's the fitting done. A lot easier, a lot quicker, no messing about with tools. In order to take this apart, all you need to use is one of these release screws. So you'll see there's the plastic ring around here. Get this guy, clip it onto your pipe, push it against that, and that allows the fitting to come off. There's small teeth in here that grab onto the pipe, and when you push that clip against it, it retracts them, allowing it to come back off the pipe. Again, that works the exact same way with your copper pipe. Okay, next up are the different types of valves you're likely to come across in your house. This guy here is a gate valve, and it operates by lowering and raising a little gate inside the fitting. Now there's a couple of things that can go wrong with this. It can sometimes leak out of the packing nut here, because there's packing inside to stop the water from coming up through the fitting and out through the opening up here. Now if that's leaking, what you can do is tighten this nut here a little bit, and that just tightens the packing and stops the water from coming through. Now if you get one of these guys that's really stiff, what you can do is loosen this packing nut. That's going to loosen the packing inside, and it's going to make it easier to turn this. Now just be aware that if you do that, it's quite possible you get a bit of water coming out here. But so long as you only loosen this for when you're moving it, and then tighten it back up once you either have it opened or closed, then that will stop the water from coming out. Now there's a couple of other things that can happen with this guy here. If you over tighten it, the spindle inside can crack, and even though it will feel like it's going up and down, it will be doing nothing to the valve inside. Now if that's the case, you will have to replace the whole fitting, but as you can see, it's just a compression fitting on either side. So if you follow what we showed you earlier on, you should be able to replace one of these guys easily enough. Now the other thing that can happen with these is that if any bit of dirt gets lodged in the groove inside, it stops the gate from closing fully. So what you can do is open and close it about 10 times, and that should hopefully dislodge any dirt that's after going into it. Now, the places you're likely to find these is A, and under your sink, so that's going to turn off the mains coming into your house. So that's going to turn off the water going to your cold water storage tank upstairs and the cold feed to your kitchen sink. The second place you're going to find this guy is in your hot press or iron cupboard. You will have two of these guys that you really need to worry about. As you look up to your ceiling, you'll see two 3/4 inch or inch pipes coming from your attic. They'll be coming from your cold water storage tank. You'll have one of these on a pipe that comes out of the ceiling and right into the bottom of your hot water cylinder. If you turn that guy off, it turns off the feed to all your hot taps. So it stops the water from going through your hot water cylinder and off to any appliance. So again, you can turn that one off if you want to turn off the hot water on your bathroom basins or going to your baths. The other one you'll find it on is the pipe that comes out of the ceiling and straight down into the floor. That is for your cold feed, so again that's going to feed all your cold taps apart from your kitchen sink and also your bath. Again, just to turn off the water to any cold appliances, you can turn that guy off. Next type of valve you're likely to come across is a lever valve. This guy here works by opening and closing a ball valve inside as you turn this lever. As a rule, when the lever is in line with the fitting, the valve is open, and when it's at a right angle to it, the valve is closed. These guys are a lot easier to work with when compared to the gate valves, because rather than having to continuously turn it, you just turn it a quarter of a turn. So a lot easier to use. So certainly put these on things that you're going to be turning on and off a lot. Again, you just have your compression fittings either side, so very easy to fit if you follow the rules that we showed you earlier on. So the next type of valve you might come across is a service valve. Now it works by rotating this guy here, so very similar to your lever valve, except rather than having a bulky lever on it, you just get a screwdriver and rotate that. Again, if you rotate it so it's at a right angle to the fitting, the valve is closed. Now you tend to find these guys in under kitchen sinks, on your feed to your toilets, your baths, so rather than having to turn off your gate valves in your hot press, you can just turn this guy off and under, so you're not interfering with other appliances or sinks around your house. Okay, next up is just a little bit on fixing a leaking tap. So there's a couple of places it can leak from. Usually it's going to be from the spout here, and in that case it'll be the washer on the bottom of your valve, or if it's leaking from in here, chances are it's the O-ring on the valve. Now I'll show you how to get into that now. So generally you have some sort of cap on your spout, so you just get a small screwdriver and pop off the top, and that exposes this little retaining screw here. So next, go and do that screw. Now if you're doing this over sink, make sure you have your socker in. Last thing you want to be doing is trying to root this guy out of your waste. So you take your shroud off, and then you're left with your valve. You just get an adjustable spanner. Again, anti-clockwise to take it out. Now we have our valve out. So like I said, if it's leaking from our spout here, then it's going to be this washer here that's damaged. Or if it's leaking from the body around here, it's going to be the O-ring. And you can get both of those as replacement parts.